entertainment, insights. Don't take life too seriously. Welcome to Brainsky Unleashed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another fabulous episode. It is now summertime here, Brainsky Unleashed. We got Richard Walsh with us, former Marine, boxer, author, Sharpen the Spear Coaching.com. He's got a lot of insight to share. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Looking forward to being here.
Absolutely. So before you jump in, just a reminder, everyone, what should you do before you even start listening? You should be hitting the subscribe button. You should be giving it a quick review when we're done. Like it, hit subscribe, offer a review. Help us out with the bots out there that make sure that we get up there in the ratings so that way we can continue doing this stuff. All right. With that, Richard, again, welcome to the program. You are a business coach, right?
Correct.
All right. So your main focus at this point is helping businesses do what?
So my big movement, Tom, is to help 10,000 business owners create more freedom, profit, and impact in their business.
All right, we're going to start immediately with freedom, because in doing my homework on you and learning more about you, one of the things that you really like to focus on is helping business owners get out of the job that they've created for themselves and get a little bit of freedom. So give me a little bit of insight on that. What would they expect if they were?
Yeah, so I call it escaping the owner prison. Okay, that's what we call it. What can they expect? Well, the problem is guys get into business, and the first 2 years, as I tell people, I haven't figured out a way not to work extremely hard your first 2 years in business. Okay, so just accept that if you're new. If you're not, what I've also found over all these years of coaching and being in business over 30 years myself is people work hard that first 2 years, and then next, 10 years has gone by and they've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. That's stuck in the owner prison. Okay. So they haven't,
It's all
right. No delegation, no systems in place. They're unable to truly scale, or at least scale comfortably. And their time is no longer their own. They serve the business doesn't serve them.
But why do you think it is?
Well, because a lot of them get into it because they're a technician, meaning they're really good at what they do, and they get in and they have to do it right in the beginning. And then they might get someone, but they're afraid to let go of that hammer or that saw or the keyboard or whatever it is, right? And so they hold on, they kind of, in a sense, micromanage, but feel if it's not done the way they do it, it's not good enough. And people will be disappointed, which is far from the truth. So that's really what happens. And then they don't know, because they went from being an employee, right? Again, a craftsman, a tradesman, or whatever they are, then they could be in business. They don't know about business. Now, they can make money because making money in business is the easiest thing you can do, right? But it's all the rest that gets them hung up, and that's why they get trapped.
Do you find that a lot of the people that you've worked with in this position, I mean, it sounds to me like these are the technicians, right? They're and maybe it's not technician per se of someone that, makes a wire or, some glass or whatever, but they're the operators or the people that do the tasks, right? And they just happen to be really good at what they do. So they decide they want to start a business and, they can do it better, right? But do you also find, because one of the things that I'm hearing right off the bat is lack of leadership skills. Like right out of the gate, they may not have been, trained as a leader. They may have been thrust into a management position at some point, and then they decide they're going to do it on their own, or maybe they were just somebody who made the glass, cut the glass, fixed the pipe, bent the pipe, did this or that. But it sounds like there's obviously a lack of leadership. But are you also seeing that with people who have come from leadership roles?
Yeah, Tom. I don't think it's the leadership issue.
Okay.
I think it's a knowledge issue. It's a knowledge issue. They don't know, right? And one of the biggest things they haven't done, Tom, is they haven't created a plan. They don't even have, we could talk about this another time, but the exit strategy, right? They don't begin with the end in mind. So when they don't do that, how do you know where to go? How do you know when to hire the first person? How do you know what you have to do when you hire someone? You just tell them to go do it? Because that never works. Okay, so
right.
that's really what it is. So I don't think leadership's going to come later. You're going to need leadership skills. Don't get me wrong, but that's going to come later. And a lot of guys never get to the point to be able to become a leader because they're in the trenches all the time. Now they're leading in there in kind of a microscopic way, but they're really not going to be that leader who can guide the company where it really needs to go.
What do you normally try and do to wake these people up so they can see that they even have the problem? A lot of business owners don't even know they have a problem.
Right. So if they talk to me for like an hour, they know all their problems because I can see them from the outside. I have what is called outside eyes. So they're very focused, right? Because they're doing it, they're making the money, they're trying to get the next Friday, make payroll, pay the bills, do all that kind of stuff. So I can come in and I can easily see it. Of course, I have tons of experience, but at the same time, I can go, what about this? And what about this? We don't need to do that. That person should go, right? So there's like things you tell them and they just, it's like you pull the blinders off them for a minute and all of a sudden they can see and go, oh, I didn't even know that. I go, and that's
Give me,
okay.
give me an example. Like, put you on the spot. You're talking to a business owner, a guy's been in business. Let's say, I'm a guy, I've been in business for like 6 years. I make mugs
Mhm.
and I am just, I'm doing my thing, and somehow like, you come along, or like, how does that work? And then what does that conversation even look like where I can go, oh, okay, now I'm listening to somebody who knows what they're doing and I've got a problem. I don't think I've got a problem.
Right. So one question I always begin with, what's your biggest challenge right now in business? I mean, no matter what they think, they have a challenge. I don't know
Right.
what
Well, I
it
mean,
is until they tell me.
what would you say is like the three common answers that you get? I mean, for me, I would probably think, well, making enough money, or I don't have enough sales, which is, to me, the most typical thing I think a business owner said, if I could only get more sales, which by the way is never the main problem. It's usually a symptom of a problem. But like, what would you say is the top three?
Top three is going to be first is they're going to say, I don't have the people.
Okay.
I don't have the manpower. There's a manpower shortage. They're going to go that route. Can't get good people, blah, blah. They're going to say all that, right? Secondly, is they're going to be, well, we're making money, but not enough to, and whatever that is, right? To bring more people on, to do this or do that, right? The third thing is going to be really like how to grow. I don't know how to scale. I don't know how to do more. The first two problems I have, how can I possibly ever grow? Because I can't overcome those first two problems. Okay. So people are always their number one problem. And the problem with that problem, okay, is again, they don't know what they're actually looking for in people. They don't have purpose for their people. They don't have their positions laid out. So someone who's relatively competent can come in and thrive in that position and excel. A lot of owners, what they do, Tom, is they want to bring someone in who's really good at what they do, and they want them to actually build their business. They want to make that position better. They want to use it, and no one wants to be hired for that. If they're doing that, they'd have their own business. Right.
Right.
So that's the first big mistake. And I see that a lot. So they got everyone doing everything crossing over. So the first thing we do is we're going to separate what's called job functions, positions and job functions, because they have to be very, very detailed. You can't put someone in something. So let's just call it a system, right? Because you put people into systems, not systems into people, right? Very important distinction. So someone wants to come in, drop in, they're good. Let's say I'm a great HR person. Okay. Well, they want to drop in a slot. They want to get hired, and it's all there. They're trained up in 5 to 7 days. They know what to do, and they can run, and they can be a great HR person. They're not trying to figure out why this system's broke and why I can't do this and I can't do that. So the problem is you haven't done your work. You haven't prepared it for the right person to come in. It's like having a Ford Escort on NASCAR track. You're just going to put them in that and say, go win the race. Not going to happen. Right. So you really got to prep. That's one of the biggest challenges they have.
So basically what you're saying is that, your answer would be, we got to systematize.
That's the beginning. Yes.
Right. Okay. And so you're looking at a business owner, the business owner says, how do I have time to systematize? How do I even systematize? Who am I using to help me systematize? It's one thing to get the advice from a coach, but what do I do with this when I'm currently up to my ears in porcelain, trying to complete and get enough widgets out because I've got heavy orders of widgets. It's summertime and it's mug selling season at
Sure.
at the local shop down by the beach.
So that's the best question ever. Okay. Because I will tell you, all owners I work with, none of them are going to systemize their business.
Right.
They want to, they know
Can't.
it needs to be done. They don't have the bandwidth. And
Right.
it's unrealistic for any coach to come in and think they're going to do. Okay. Unless you love misery and disappointment and for the others you're going to get. So we do not do that. Now, they need to be aware they need it. Most of them do, and you can walk it out. But here's what we do at Sharpen the Spear, right? So I come in and we talk about, okay, here's your positions. Here they are. We need to systemize this. Other processes in the business. I don't have the owner do it. We work with the team. We bring them on. We set goals properly, right? We have deadlines. We have time frames. I show them the structure and how it's done, how they can achieve it. Let them go to work. And the beauty of that is, here's the caveat I'll throw in there. It's not part of their job. So if you're paying them 50 grand a year, they don't do that too and still get 50 grand a year. You're
Right.
going to set a bonus for them. This is a goal. And when you achieve it, you're going to get X. Because if you think about what is that worth, if I can get everything systemized, so main one department, if I can get that systemized, what does that do for me as the owner? It gives me back my time, the frustration, everything. That's worth a lot of money to me as an owner. So I'm going to give them a hefty bonus for doing that. Right. So they're incentivized, but they get it done. Now, not only do they get a bonus, they complete it, they have complete buy-in into it. They help create that. But it's like a extra gig, right? They're still doing their daily stuff, but they get rewarded and everyone feels good. And we do that throughout the company. And then when it's done, we bring it back to the owner. Look what we did. Right.
So I'm gonna be that guy I'm sure you have had to deal with hundreds of times. All right. I'm gonna be the guy that says, well, there's not a lot of profit in this. And so therefore, how can I possibly afford your service, much less afford to pay Bob and Susie and Dan? Because these are the three people that you tell me that you're going to work with. I'm so stuck. I've come to you for help, but I can't afford your help. So what do we do next?
Mm-hmm. So when someone says there's not any profit in this, okay, so I'll take a look at what I call their bucket, and I'll start pointing out all the holes in their bucket. So everyone says they don't have any profit in this. Well, I guess in the back of my mind, I go, well, why are you in business if you can't
Yeah.
make any money?
Well,
Right?
people really can't answer that at that point because they're
Right.
too deep in.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is say, well, I can change all that. I mean, you talk about pricing, value drive, you talk about cost of goods, right? There's a lot of things they're not addressing because why? They're in it, doing it every day, trying to get next Friday. So they can't look at how can I buy in volume or get it there or deal with a different distributor or what is my production actually doing? What is there some upfront cost to automate some more of that I get a great ROI in 6, 8, 10 months. And then from there it's pure, right? So that's what they're not unable to do. So we have to address that. So we have to look at that and really say, okay, I can take a look at this and see these issues. We have to begin with that, right? But we really have to back up and say, well, what is the actual, vision of the business? Where are you going? Where do you want to go with this, right? Because again, we talked earlier about starting with the end in mind. If you don't know where you're going to go, if I'm in New York and I want to go to California, the only thing I know is to go west. If I don't have a map, I'm in direction. I may eventually get there, but I'm going to be up and down the country on this road in a mountain, stuck in mud, all that stuff, maybe not even have the right vehicle to go, right? So we have to decide that first. So there is some backstepping to do with guys who are so into it, so you can uncover this stuff for them and they can see it so they can now sort of go, okay, now, because they can say they don't have money, Tom, and we all done this, right? I bet you there's no one listening who's never been over their budget.
Of course.
Okay, so we've all done that. But what we have to do, just like he has to do with his mugs, we have to create value. I have to create value. What kind of value do I bring to the table to warrant X amount of dollars to have me coach? Right?
Right.
If it's the same as putting on a mid-level to lower level employee for a year, if I'm the same cost, think, well, if I had someone working, they'd do some work, but would they systemize my business? Would they get my profit up? Would they give me a lower cost of goods? Would they do all that? And then they're done? They're not going to do that, right? So we have to build value. So I think that's what it really comes down to.
Okay. So you got a book out.
I do.
And what is the name of the book?
It's named Escape the Owner Prison.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is that everything that we've covered so far most likely is in the book, but more important than that, if anyone within the sound of my voice can actually hear and see, you are in business and there is at least probably, I would say, and you can agree with me, there's a really high probability that you have problems. Most businesses do. Most businesses have problems, and many of the owners cannot even see that they have problems. They don't even know that they have problems. They just know that they are making their widget and they come and they go and they make their widget and they go, well, cash flow's tight this month. And that is an acceptable thing. Is that an acceptable thing? Yes or no?
Oh, never.
Of course, it's never. But yet they're satisfied. So anyone who's listening should get this book. Read the book, but more so, get in contact. How do they find you?
SharpenTheSpearCoaching.com.
SharpenTheSpearCoaching.com. That is SharpenTheSpearCoaching.com. SharpenTheSpearCoaching.com. And I said it 3 times, therefore it gets in your head and you don't forget it. So you go to the damn website and you get in contact, because the reality is you have problems you cannot see. They are there. If you are someone who sits there every single week and goes, cash flow's tight. I'm having some struggle, we're having a struggle with this. Or, I'm running out of inventory. Or I've got too much inventory. I can't get sales going. Any of these problems, get the outside help. Richard is your guy. SharpenTheSpear.com. Richard, do you have any parting thoughts?
Let me give them a gift, a parting gift.
I like that. Go
If
ahead.
they go to SharpenTheSpearCoaching.com and they mention Brainsky Unleashed, that's where you heard me, I will give you a free copy of the book on audio.
Excellent. Thank you
Okay,
for that.
and-
My guest, by all means, take it.
And I'm reading it, so you get to hear me for a couple more hours. How about that?
It is a sultry voice. Absolutely. Richard, thank you so much for joining the program. I really appreciate you jumping on, providing some excellent insight. It was actually a great pleasure to talk to you. And I think that I am interested possibly in collaborating with you on some projects in the future, just based on the things we've talked about. So thank you again for joining.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Tom.
And you bet.